Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful to have everybody here. And we are dedicated by the Fisher family, Li Nishmas Basi Bas Robert Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain, Li Nishmas Avram Yeshaya ben Shmayo Yosef, V'Shlem Fel Yomis Mechai Sarah, Schus Avram ben Yam ben Ish ben Malkudis and family, by Yo Klugman and family, for Avigdor Aye ben Rivka, and Hayala ben Chava, whose bris is the Mitzvah Hashem going to be tomorrow morning, and for Meir ben Chai Sarah, Li Nishmas, your father?
Asher Eliezer ben Ramosha.
Asher Eliezer ben Ramosha, Shol ben Tuvia. Shama should have an aliyah. Also, Mazel Tov again to my Shver on the Chasana and Sheva Brachas this week of his Einikel Chani to a wonderful, wonderful boy, Yidel Tesler. The Zivik should be Eliyafa Zayin, and they should be Zeichel to be by Nabayis Nemam, be Yisrael, L'Shem, L'Seferes.
Still some food left over.
Yeah, still some food. So we're up to Mishnah Vav, the last Mishnah in the 9th parak. So Bas Kain Shenisas Yisrael, once a Bas Kain marries a Yisrael, she can't eat Truma anymore. Lo Yiseichel B'Truma. Meis, even if her husband dies, Lo Yaleinu, V'lo Himenu Ben, but she still has a son from a Yisrael, so she can't go back to the Truma of her parents' home. Lo Yiseichel B'Truma. Now, Nisas L'Levi, if she marries a Levi, Teichel B'Maisa. Like we explained, these Mishnahs are going according to the opinion of a mayor, that somebody who's not a Levi or married to a Levi cannot eat Truma, Meiser. We don't hold that way, but that's the Shita of Rameir. This is going according to the Shita of Rameir. So Nisas Levi, if she marries a Levi, Teichel Meiser, she could eat Meiser. Meis, if her husband dies, V'lo Menu Ben, and she has a child from the Levi, Teichel Meiser, she could still eat Meiser. Nisas L'Kayin, now she marries a Kayin, Teichel B'Truma, she could eat Truma. Meis, if the husband dies, V'lo Menu Ben, but she still has a child from the Kayin, Teichel B'Truma. Meis B'na Mekayin, if her child from the Kayin dies, now Lo Yiseichel B'Truma, but she could eat Meiser because she has a child from the Levi. Meis B'na Levi, if the child from the Levi dies, Lo Yiseichel B'Meiser, now she can't eat Meiser. And she can't go back to her parental home and eat Truma because she still has a child from the Yisrael. Meis B'nam Yisrael, but once her child from the Yisrael dies, now she could be Shava L'Beis Aviyah K'Minoreha. Now she could return and eat the Truma of her parental home. Chayzeres L'Beis Aviyah, she could return and eat her parental Truma. V'alzu Nemar, and referring to this, does it say, V'shava El Beis Aviyah, she returns to her father's home, Kinurel, like her youth, Melechem Aviyah Teichel, from the bread of her father, in other words, from the Truma she could eat. The next parak discusses the grim situation when one aide comes and says that a person's husband died overseas or died in battle or drowned, and here, because of Aguna, we allow her to remarry on the testimony of one witness, combining with that the fact that Isha Daiko Mitzvah, she'll be very careful to check it out, but if her first husband comes back, we throw the book at her. And therefore, says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, a woman whose husband went overseas, and they come and they tell her, Meis Bailich, your husband died, and this means that one witness says it, V'niseis, and she remarries. So she was first married to Chatzkel, they said that Chatzkel died, and now she goes ahead and marries Chaim. And oy vavoy, v'achakach bo baila, and the first husband Chatzkel shows up. Now, therefore, what she had with Chaim was adultery, and of course, midoraisa, her child from Chaim is a mamzer, and she's a zayna because she had a bia asura of adultery, so she's also to a kain, she's also in truma. However, really, she should be allowed to go back to her husband because she relied on the psak of the Rabbanan. However, built into that psak is the achakach ba baila, if her husband Chatzkel comes back alive, teitze mizeh mizeh. We make her leave the second husband, and she can't go back to the first husband. Utzricha get mizeh mizeh, and she needs a get from both. Now, from the first husband, she needs a get because she was married to him. The second husband, she only needs a get midrabanan, because people shouldn't say that, well, maybe the first husband divorced her, and it looks like a woman is going out without a get. So the first husband, she needs a get midoraisa. The second husband, she needs a get midrabanan. Ve'en lo ksuva, she's not entitled to a ksuva from either of them. V'loi peiros. Now, peiros over here means that in the event that the second husband, while he was living with her, enjoyed the usufruct, the peiros of her property, thinking he was married to her, which he's entitled to do. Now we would say that he should return that to her because they were really never married. But part of the penalty is we don't return to her the usufruct. V'loi mezainis. And if she borrowed in order to eat, she can't collect the mezainis from either of these husbands. V'loi blois. And this means that if, when she brought in clothing, the husband used it and he wore out the principal, he doesn't have to, even though normally you would have to replace the principal, he's only entitled to the peiros. We don't make him even replace the principal of the worn out clothing. Lo alzeh v'lo alzeh. She has no rights from either husband. Im not le mizeh mizeh, and if she takes it from either husband, tachzir, she has to return it. V'avlad mamzer mizeh mizeh. Now, from the second husband, the vlad is a mamzer deraisa. From the first husband, if she does go back to the first husband against the takana d'Rabbanan, we give the child a din of a mamzer midrabbanan. V'loi zeh v'zeh metamin la. Either husband, if he's a kayin, cannot be metame to her. Of course, the second husband is not her husband. The first husband also, b'din d'Rabbanan, he can't be metame to her if she dies. V'loi zeh v'zeh. Neither of them Zakoin loiber mitziyasa, they have no right, no privilege to the lost articles that she finds. V'loiber masiyadeh, nor to her salary. V'loiber afaris nidoreh, nor to annulling her vows. Hoysa bas Yisrael, if she was a bas Yisrael, nifsala min akuna, because when she slept with the second husband, that was adultery, and because her first husband was alive, and therefore she is a zayna, and she's pasal min akuna. Or bas levi min amaiser, if she's a bas levi, because she had this bia asura, we penalize her from having maiser. Or bas kayim min atruma, and a bas kayim is not allowed to eat truma. Ve'ein yoshim shel zeh v'yoshim shel zeh yoshin es ksuvasa. The sons that she had from the first husband, normally they would be entitled to ksuvas benin dichrin. That means when they divide with the sons of other wives, they would get the ksuva of their mother beyond the equal division. But they're not entitled to the ksuvas benin dichrin because there's no ksuva to these women from either of the husbands. V'emesu, if they die. Now, if Chaim dies the first husband, so really there's Yibam or Chalitza, because they were married. But we say that it could only do Chalitza. And if Chatzkel, I said the first husband was Chatzkel, so if the first husband Chatzkel dies, so of course there would be really Yibam or Chalitza, because she was married to him, and if there's no children, L'chaira, his brother, should be able to even do Yibam, but we only allow Chalitza. And if the second husband dies, really not a husband, but because people won't know, they'll say maybe she was divorced from the first husband, so therefore when he dies, when Chaim dies, we also do Chalitza. Now comes differing opinions. Rabbi Yaisi Aimer, Ksuvas al Nichsei Balarishan, since she was legally married to Chaim, and that never changed, so she's entitled to get a ksuva from Chaim. Rabbi Lazar Aimer, and therefore, if Chaim comes back alive until they get divorced, Zakai b'mitziasoi, he gets her lost articles, ubamasi yodea, her salary, ubafaris nedoreh, and the right to annul her vows. Reb Shimon says, since she's really, I keep on mixing it up, the first husband was Chatzkel, since she's really married to Chatzkel, and that never changed, he never died, so therefore, if Chatzkel dies childless, bi'asai chalitzasa me'achiv shel, either the bia or the chalitza from the first brother, paiteres sarasa, exempts the co-wife, because they were married, and therefore when he died childless, bia is yibum, and therefore bia or chalitza exempts Chatzkel's other wife, ve'ein avlad mimenu mamzer. And if she goes back to the first husband against the takana of the Chachamim and sleeps with him and has a child, that child is not a mamzer because they were husband and wife. V'imnisa shaloi bereshus. But if she got married without special permission, but rather two witnesses come and say that Chatzkel died, Al pi shnai made him yakum davar. Then if she goes and marries a second person and Chaim comes back alive, she's allowed to return to him. Because she got married without, you can't say that there was any fault in our investigation. And that wasn't built in order to make sure that she does a good investigation. This is halacha min haTorah. She did everything according to the Torah. Al pi shnayim edim yakum davar. And therefore, v'imnisis shaloi bereshus, if she got married without special reshus of Bezdin, but because there's two witnesses, muteres lachzoloi, then if he comes back alive, she's allowed to return to him.